One of the teams behind Popeye on the Nintendo Switch just threatened to sue me. I wish I was making that up. What happened was a couple weeks ago, I made this video, super clickbaity thumbnail there, if I do say so myself, with an even more clickbaity headline, Popeye is the worst game on Nintendo Switch. Now, a lot of people saw this game coming out, they saw the pictures, maybe they saw a video here and there, and they already kind of knew there's like, oh man, this game looks pretty rough. I grabbed it as soon as I could. I literally purchased it from the Japanese eShop because I couldn't wait to play this game. That's when I did the video. My first impression, the first playthrough, I had my son in the background asking to go to Popeyes. Fun times. Even though the game looked like it was, played like it did, I was more critical than I am with most games, but I'm also usually pretty fair, I think. And when I say fair, I mean overly positive. Because I try to find the positive in every game I play. But this one, well, let's be honest, it was a little rough around the edges. I still had fun with it though. I'm not going to name names or name companies or anything like that, but I do want to say what they said to me, and then you tell me if this is correct or not, all right? So it just goes on to say, hey John, recently learned you've been spreading disparaging remarks. Goes on to say the remarks are untrue and malicious and constitute slander against our reputation and credibility. And then later on goes on to say, this letter will constitute notice that unless you immediately cease and desist from making such remarks, we'll notify our attorneys to institute legal proceedings against you claiming the full amount of damages suffered by us. Imagine, if you would, CD Projekt Red went after everybody who made a critical video about Cyberpunk. Imagine if Columbia went after everyone who said bad things about Ghostbusters 2016. It's okay to be critical. Trust me, I get criticized every time I post a video ever, whether it be about my hair, my kids, whatever the case may be. But to say that the video is slander, I don't know if that's exactly accurate. I did respond by saying, I think you got the wrong guy, because I post positive videos on my channel. The first email didn't actually say specifically what the video was from, they just said what they said, right? The follow-up email did say, here's the name of the title, here's a screenshot of what it looks like. I was like, okay, they're talking about the Popeye video. Of course they are. I admit it, man. I mean, the headline, super clickbaity, gets you to watch the video, right? I mean, clickbait's a good thing if it gets you to watch the video, and the video is what I was talking about in the video. I even mentioned I tried to stay positive as much as I could through the video, and they did notice that. They did say, you know, the video is fine. You know, what they're more concerned with was, you know, the fact that it actually says do not buy in the thumbnail. And then the headline, of course, talking about how it's the worst game on the Switch. And that's kind of where it comes to this. Now, most people would see that first initial email, block, ignore, never mind, it's my channel, I do whatever I want. But I was curious to see where they're coming from. Mr. Me, Mr. Positivity, Mr. Awesome, Mr. Amazing, you know, Mr. Humble, apparently. So with a quick little email back and forth, it turns out we see each other eye to eye on this thing. So it's not like, you know, yes, the threat of being sued is pretty harsh for something like this. A simple yet effective way would just be to say, look, I understand where you're coming from, but man, I mean, it's like, would you consider changing the headline or thumbnail? And most people would just tell them to shove off and whatever, but I love hearing these kind of things, especially from the companies. In fact, sometimes companies will see the critiques from the video, you know, saying like, oh, you know, this game is terrible for this reason, that reason, this reason, and then they can release a patch to fix those things. It's happened multiple times. I did a video once where I was sent a Nintendo homebrew where the plastic was too thick and it wouldn't fit into my Nintendo system, and the company was like, oh my god, thank you for that, because now we know that, you know, we better fix our mold to make these games work, right? So again, me, Mr. Awesome, Mr. Nice Guy, you know, wrote back and said, you know what, I see where you're coming from. These are all based on my own opinion. I did purchase the game. I tried reaching out for a review code. There was no one was offering one. That's true. And my usual sources for finding review codes for Switch games, nobody had one. And to throw in a little extra snark, have you played the game yet? I mean, seriously, a simple change of this, a simple change of that. I'm happy helping people out. It's why I do videos on indie Switch games, because not a whole lot of people are. It's why I love doing videos on like VR gaming and homebrew gaming, because again, not a lot of people are. I love cheerleading video games in total. I mean, I play the new stuff too. I love the old stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of great stuff out there that I wish people would find out about. And I know they say, you know, like any publicity is good publicity. I bet there's some people, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe shout out in the comments, I bet there are people who watched my original Popeye for the Nintendo Switch video and said, ooh, yeah, I better purchase that because I want to play it for myself, just to see for myself. I bet it happened. I promise you it happened. I do it all the time myself. I see games that people are like, you know, terrible this game, terrible that game. It's like, I gotta play it for myself now. You do that with movies too. It's like, oh, this movie's terrible. I gotta watch, let's all get together and watch this terrible movie together. It happens all the time. You know, so after a little bit of communication back and forth via email, we're on the same page now, and and as it turns out, they have other games in the library, some other indie games on the Nintendo Switch, and you'll see some of those games later on in this channel. There's probably going to be some good ones on there. Again, like I said, I love covering indie games on this channel, especially for the Nintendo Switch, so watch out for some of those videos later on too. If it makes sense for how YouTube works and what I'm going through on the YouTube side, so quick change of the headline: Popeye on Nintendo Switch could have used more spinach. It's kind of creative, right? I mean, it's still criticizing the fact that it's not the best game ever, but could use a little bit more spinach, a little bit more punch, a little bit more something, give that little Popeye edge there, right? So the thumbnail, one of my better facial reactions there. The critique was more about the words that were on there, and again, I can't say that because there are people who have purchased this game because of this video, so we can certainly change the words, and while I'm at it, I may as well change the facial expression too. There we go, looking really good there. Because at the end of the day, is it really the worst game on Nintendo Switch? The answer is no, it's really not. In fact, it's funny because even after that video, I've gone back and played it more. I keep going back to it. I can't explain it. I can't explain it, but I keep playing it. Oh, hold on. We have, here, I don't know if you can see this or not. Look at that right there, Popeye. Played for 1 hour or more. I've played it on recent flights to conventions, I've played it at the airport, I played it just sitting around here. I keep coming back to it. So it can't be the worst game ever, because I keep playing it. And I can't explain why. I don't need to explain why. It's that curiosity factor, I guess. I'm not telling anyone else on YouTube what to do to their channels. If they want to do their thing and then, have other people say like, oh, you gotta change this, you gotta change that, and they don't, and for one reason or another, maybe not changing it is the best strategy. Because, sometimes companies know what they want for business, but you know what you want for your YouTube channel. And for me, yeah, if it makes sense with everything that's happening with YouTube and algorithms and stuff like that, hey, you know what? A simple change of the headline, simple change of the thumbnail, ain't gonna hurt anything. Not on my channel anyway. It's your channel, you take charge, you take direction, you do what's best. And I'll do what's best on my channel too. The video stays, the thumbnail changes, the facial expression changes. Change of the headline, why not? Because I can't call it the worst game ever. It's not, because I keep playing it. I can't say that. But don't threaten to sue someone for slander in the initial email. I mean, come on. I'm glad it was me who got that, because with most other people, they would just ignore it and move on, and nothing would have changed. Is Popeye royalty free now? Can we look that up? What's the statute of limitations? Statute of limitations? Statute of limitations? What's it called? Is Popeye's royalty free? It's been out long enough. Walk at these sand dunes here, why not? We're not going to Popeye's, Jaren. Mr. Cute, we giggling back there. I hear you giggling. No, we're not going to Daddy's car. Jaren, come here. Look at Popeye. Come here. You want to see Popeye? What do you see? Come here. What is it?
Yoko Popeye?
We're not going to Popeye's. Who's this guy? Is this name Popeye? Who is it? Who is it? Who is it?
Do you go to the car?
No, we're not going to Daddy's car. Get out of here. Come here. Jared, where are you going?